Some of the early census results are now in, and we've been wondering what is going to happen. I mean, we only get one of these every decade, and they're incredibly significant, not only for giving us information about how America is changing and shifting as the years go by, but of course, very soon, the information we'll be discussing here is going to be translated into gains and losses in political power, in states and in the federal government. So we're gonna talk about both aspects of that, the change and some of what we think we know about how it might affect politics. Let's start off with some of the top level analysis. Overall population growth slowed dramatically over the past decade. The growth that did occur, an increase of about 23 million people, which still sounds like a lot of growth, was made up entirely of people who identified themselves as Hispanic, Asian, Black, or more than one race, according to the data, the first racial and ethnic breakdown from the 2020 census. So let's talk about how each of some of these groups has changed over time. The white population in the United States, for the first time on record, declined over the course of the decade. And what's interesting is that if you compare, still number one as a group, but if you take a look at the results we believe we have for now, and then go back 10 years and go back 20 years, what effectively has happened is back 20 years ago, non-Hispanic white respondents made up 69.1% of the population. 10 years later, that had dropped 5.5 points. 10 years after that, it's dropped about another 5 points. So about 10 points in 20 years. So that's a significant difference. Over the same period, the Black population grew by about 6%, an increase that represented about 1/10 of the overall growth. So, what's interesting is that it's as a percentage of the population. If you look at the overall percentage of the US population that identifies as Black, it has been fairly consistent at 12% over the past 20 years. So in any event, the racial makeup of the country changing quite a bit. Those identifying as Hispanic has grown to almost 20% in the most recent numbers. And interestingly, Asian respondents have grown from just 3.6% of the population 20 years ago to 5.9% of the population in the most recent data, which is still a small segment of the US population, but it's a very significant amount of growth for the population, nearly doubling in just 20 years. So Brett, initially, what do you think about this?
I love when the census comes out because it's just a lot of weird feelings, and you're looking around at all people's reactions, which are either like kind of racist or at the very least like identity politics relishing or ruining. Like that is my favorite part of it, where like all the headlines in the wake of this are, it's really good news for Democrats. And just implicit in that is a whole bunch of things that you kind of have to do in the wake of a census. The census is what drives redistricting. It happens every 10 years. And then the other aspect of it, it's the census plus whoever's in charge of every state at the time. From a party perspective, either breaking down or strengthening their gerrymandered hold on a state. And so it's fascinating. It's weird, I will say. Like I'm just like, when I see fewer white people, for some reason, there's like a part of me that's like, I guess that's my team. Do I feel bad because we're losing, or do I feel good because we're like all winning together to have a more diverse thing? But I can't, like, there's something about a census that gives you a score where I feel like I have to I'm either winning or losing in some way, and I don't know how to translate that. I'm just like Lakers in the news, gotta have the Lakers win. I'm white. What are the white people doing, I guess? But like, I'm Jewish white. Do they even like me? Like, what is that?
I get the urge. It's just a reflection. This is gonna be one of the weirdest analogies, but I spent a lot of time on Reddit, and it's very common on some subreddits to like celebrate when they reach certain levels of like, hey, we've got 10,000 people, or we've got 100,000. And I always felt like, well, what does that mean really? Like, it's just, it's growing, I guess. But like, why are you making such a big, I never understood it. But anyway, what I worry is that you're gonna see a whole bunch of that coming up in a negative direction. So when you see that the non-Hispanic white population has dropped below 60%, I don't know how Fox is going to respond to that in the short term or in the long term. I think the increased diversity is an obvious good. I think that the backlash from conservative whites is going to be multi-threaded and devastating. So I am worried about that. That's one of the things that I immediately thought when I saw these results, Brett.
And it'll be on multiple fronts. It'll be like explicit from some, and then a lot of folks will just like sit and stew in it. Like, oh
yeah.
And that's I think that's the nature of racism in America. Like there are going to be people who are racist, and within that population, there's going to be people who are overtly racist who are going to say this and see this and be like, this happened. Can you believe it? We're losing. We got to win. And then there's going to be other people who don't say that out loud, but then every turn when they encounter something, they'll think about this. They'll be at a Marshall's and they'll look, I mean, because I'm seeing all these Karen videos, they'll be at a Marshall's and they'll look at someone who like may have gotten a shirt before the person themselves got a shirt. And suddenly this will be the front on which the race war plays out.
Yeah.
Because it's just implicitly there. It's another thing where, in a world where it's racial, it's socioeconomic, it's political, all the reasons you may be winning or losing in your mind and in reality, this census data gives a lot of opportunists the opportunity to make it racial. And that's what you'll see moving forward.
Yeah. And well, I definitely think so. And I mean, like, Tucker Carlson has been talking nonstop about the great replacement theory.
Yeah.
Before this data came out. Like, if you don't think he's gonna pick it up and run really awkwardly with it, then yeah, you haven't been watching Fox News.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.